Birds of Prey is the newest installment in the DC Extended Universe, and follows Harley Quinn after the events of Suicide Squad as she has broken up with the Joker and is trying to find her place in the world. She later finds herself teaming up with Black Canary, Huntress, and Renee Montoya to protect a girl named Cassandra Cain, a pickpocket who stole a diamond that a crime lord named Roman Sionis, also known as Black Mask, wants for himself. Going into Birds of Prey, I wasn't too terribly excited to see it, since the trailers did nothing really to impress me. I'm not too terribly familiar with this group in the comics, despite me being a big DC Comics fan. After seeing it, I must say that I enjoyed this film a lot more than I thought I would. The best part of Birds of Prey is easily the performances. Margot Robbie is utterly fantastic here as Harley Quinn, and is the best part of the movie. She's funny, psychotic, charming, and foul-mouthed. This film proves why Robbie is the only actress who can pull off this character perfectly. She was great in Suicide Squad, but this movie let her loose, and gave us an even crazier side of her we didn't see before in that movie, and I absolutely loved it. Journey Smollett-Bell is also solid as Black Canary, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead is a lot of fun to watch as Huntress, even though I wish there was more of her in the movie. Ian McGregor also knocks it out of the park as the main antagonist, Roman Sionis / Black Mask. Most incarnations of Black Mask portray him as an imposing and cold crime lord. That's not the case here. Here, Black Mask is incredibly narcissistic, arrogant, and egotistical, and I was actually on board with it. Ian McGregor definitely hams it up here, but it works. And I love seeing him play a character that we usually don't see him play much in anything. Another strong aspect of Birds of Prey is surprisingly the action scenes. They apparently got one of the guys who worked in the John Wick movies as second unit director, and it shows. A lot of the action scenes are shot with a lot of wide angles. There are some very good one-takes featured here, and the choreography is impressive. The action scenes also use some slow motion that worked well, and it never got redundant or tiresome. The cinematography in this film is also great, and this film oozes with color. It's an incredibly vibrant and gorgeous movie to look at from start to finish. I hope future DC movies continue to look this great. Kathy Yann's direction is superb as well. There was clearly a lot of heart and care put into this film. It has a ton of energy and is incredibly stylish as well. For this being the first big studio movie for Yann, she did an excellent job helming this movie. I'm looking forward to seeing what she does next. I also surprisingly dug the soundtrack to this film. I think the music did a good job of enhancing the punky and almost music video-like nature of this film. Birds of Prey is also surprisingly a lot funnier than I thought it would be. There were a lot of scenes that I found myself chuckling at, which most recent comic book movies have failed to do. Although I am given a lot of praise of this film, I do have some problems with it. My biggest gripe I have with this movie is the first act of it feels very exposition heavy. There's a lot of catching up to do since some things have happened between the events of Suicide Squad and this film, but some of it just became overkill after a while. There are also parts of this film that show people who are after Harley Quinn. They have these quick scenes to tell who these people are, even though I think someone who pays even the slightest bit of attention would have been able to figure out who these people are. It was unnecessary. I also feel like this film relies a little too heavily on flashbacks, and while they are important to the story, they also make the film confusing at times, and some of them drag on longer than they needed to. Another element that really didn't work for me was the breaking of the fourth wall. There are scenes where Harley Quinn narrates the film and occasionally talks to the camera that felt heavily reminiscent of the Deadpool films, but it just didn't work as well here as it does in those films. It comes off as a little forced and tacked on, and sometimes even took me out of the movie. Overall, Birds of Prey is a surprisingly fun time, and I enjoy this film a heck of a lot more than I thought I would. It's not perfect by any means, but it's an incredibly enjoyable flick with great performances, entertaining action sequences, terrific cinematography and directing, a fun soundtrack that fits the tone of the movie well, and there are some really good comedy sprinkled throughout. The recent slate of DC movies that have come out, such as Aquaman, Shazam, Joker, and this, all have one thing in common, and that's Warner Brothers letting the filmmakers make whatever they want, letting their creativity shine. All these films feel fresh and unique in an otherwise crowded genre, and it has paid off very well. Aquaman and Shazam were huge successes. Joker was the first R-rated film in history to make $1 billion at the box office, and has been nominated for a ton of awards, and this film looks to continue that trend. The most recent MCU films feel like they're made by a committee, and they don't really let the filmmakers get much creative input at all. I don't hate them, save for that one, but they're beginning to grow stale for me, while DC has been releasing some really creative and engaging movies as of late. Hopefully Wonder Woman 1984, Matt Reeves' The Batman, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, Black Adam, and future DC films turn out the same way the last few DC films have. This film isn't a game changer or anything, but I definitely recommend it. I hope we see these characters again in another film at some point. I am giving Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn a B+.